Right, so I have been trusted with the camera on my own. Chris has asked me to do a little bit of an update on where I've got to. So yeah, welcome to the new hole, but we have cut out a lot of the rock, everything which we can at the moment. We still got a bit here, but I'm reluctant to cut that until I've got more of a stable finished piece going in here, because I don't want anything to move too much. So we're going to leave that and do that bit at the end. But yeah, you can see if I get my panels ready, when we took off this outer panel, we had this one removed from the outside. I drilled out all the spots, but I went through the second skin because we haven't got a nice spot weld drill bit, and most of the time the spot weld drill bits will damage the inner skin anyway. So I drilled out all the spot welds, removed this, and now I've just gone through and I've welded up all the holes from the spot weld drilling and got everything kind of prepped. The other panels, which you can see, this one here for the inside, that one there, you can see we'd lost an awful lot of it, so I've cut down to where it's clean, so you can see how much was actually missing off that panel. This one caused me a bit of a headache actually, understanding how it was made, and believe it or not, it was actually glued in. So you can see this panel here, the firewall itself, that which is here is actually glued. So we've got this panel here which runs up all the way to the top, which was this panel here. Now I didn't really want to remove this, but I kind of had to in the end because it was glued on. So if you have a look down in this groove here, you can see remnants of the glue. And then on the other side, that inner panel actually had a ridge like that as well, with this another big gap like that, but on the other side. And they were both filled with glue. You can just about see the remnants of that ridge just here, which slots in on the back side. So they've got two of these ridges like that sitting on both sides, filled with glue all the way, and then this firewall just slotted in between. Now for someone that's kind of used to restoring 50s, 60s, 70s stuff, it confused the crap out of me. I did not understand that it was glued. So I cut a bit, I seen this sealant and that, and I kept looking for the bloody spot welds. There were no spot welds, it never ended up having any, it was just glue. So I cleaned a lot of we have to clean the glue off because it's going to be a fire, but we cleaned best we can inside and got to where we got some clean metal. I've left this bit of the inner panel up there, and at the moment I'm kind of in two minds on whether to keep it or not. I'm going to see how my panel creation for this inner panel goes, and if I can get away with actually making the bunghole circle exactly how it should be and continuing this ridge lip all the way to the top, and I can make a nice panel out of it, I might end up just scrapping it all and putting a whole panel in. But at the moment I want to keep this just so I know the orientation of where that hole is meant to sit within the panel. So we've got to big empty hole stage, and we're about to move on to creating a panel to go in. So I've just been across to the cafe and picked up an old box from one of their deliveries. I'm going to start cutting that up and trying to make some kind of template for this inner panel.
Okay, a little update from what we were doing the other day. So Rhys, tell us what you've been doing.
Well yeah, so I've made one, but this corrugated stuff, it's going to be crap. You want cereal box card.
Yeah.
That stuff's really good. But this stuff wasn't great, and it's not great because when it folds, it doesn't fold properly. So I made a rough template of where I need it to be inside the gap, and then the tabs for the outside, I actually used tape, just so we can end up getting that nice fold. And you'll get a sharp fold on it then, like you would of a good card. So we've ended up with this kind of rough shape, which isn't too bad.
Yeah.
But you can see how there's a lot of shape missing from it.
It's a bugger to weld in as well with cardboard, isn't it?
Yeah, it does tend to catch it. I have decided to keep this. I did mention in the last video that I was going to possibly remove that, but it's good steel, we can weld to it.
Yeah.
One, it gives me the exact dimensions of the hole and where to go to, but also it's connected deep up inside the firewall, again with tons and tons of glue, and I didn't want to, we're going to have to get rid of this glue edge down here and everything, so I didn't want to mess with it too much. So anyway, we got the card. I did transfer that to a sheet of steel.
Fine blue beta, here's one we made earlier.
Yes, yeah. This was, it started out as a flat sheet. I folded the tabs using a block of steel and a hammer. The curve we've got here, which if you have a look on the original, you can see we had that curve down at the bottom.
Yeah.
That was literally just pushed over the top of an anvil, just on the curve of the anvil. I just pushed it to get the curve that I needed to match that. It's not gone too bad. Yeah. It's close enough. Yeah. You can get away with it. And then this edge here I bead rolled so we can keep that sharp line. That's that bead rolled edge which sits on the other side of here.
On the inside.
To allow the glue to sit on either side. So that other edge will sit there.
Yeah.
I'll attempt to show you with a bit of manipulation now. That last one, we got this last edge here.
Yeah.
That one was just done with a pair of pliers all the way along and then hammered to try and sharpen it up a little bit. So it's very rudimentary tools. It's not been sort of put through £100,000 worth of Bailey equipment. Yeah. I've done what I can with a vice and a hammer, so yeah, we've got close.
Like most people have to be honest with you.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. It's quite satisfying, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right, so I'll show you it fitting-ish. It's still not right. I've still got to adjust some more stuff, but we're getting kind of close to where we need to be. This edge, when fitting correctly, kicks this edge out.
Yeah. So
we've got a bit of a gap. And then once we fit that edge correctly, this edge is sunken in. So what that means is there's a curve going on in the middle.
Yeah.
So I've now got to add the curve to try and bow this panel in a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a stretcher along this and hope that it bends it in a bit.
Yeah. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
We do have a shrinker and a stretcher, but it was a proper cheap eBay jobby. What was it, like 40 quid or something it was?
God, I think it was nearer 60.
Oh, God, you really
That's a high quality bit of equipment.
You are splashing out, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we got a 60 quid eBay one.
Yeah.
It's hand operated, so you sweat like hell.
Oh yes.
But it should do the trick. So I'll put the stretcher on the edge here and just try and get a bit of a bow in there.
Yeah.
And then we'll try and get it fitting properly, then onto the hole.
Brilliant. Well, we'll show people what we're going to do with the stretcher then, I guess.
Yeah.
Because for most people, when you say shrinking and stretching metal, they look at you with funny cross eyes and go, "What do you mean, shrinking and stretching metal? How do you do that?"
Do you know what? Actually, yeah, we'll get a sheet of just a strip, and I'll fold it and show how it actually works as well.
Yeah. Cool.
The stretcher's really cool.
Okay, so we moved on to the vice.
Yeah. So
Here's our very classic. Just so you know, that's our classic eBay purchase that we. It's done virtually everything with either the Lotus Carlton, almost so far, apart from your bit back at your place as well. So
it is meant to be bolted to a workbench.
Yeah.
But bench space is limited, so
and we've got a vice.
Yeah, we jam it in the vice, which again it does slip, so it's not the best. You'll more than likely get 2 sets of dies with them. You'll get a shrinker and a stretcher. That one's the stretcher, and this one will be the shrinker. Now, I use these a lot. I've got a foot operated one in my unit, and that's much better because I have to put less effort in.
Yeah.
So that's always better, and it's got a bit more of a deeper throat on it, so you get more in there.
Yeah.
But they work the same principle. I use them a lot. The one thing I find I use them a lot for are window repairs. So you know, you get that bit around the bottom edge of windows, around the scuttle panel. You see the scuttle panel start to go, then you take the window out and you've got this lip and then that 90. So what you'll do is you'll have your scuttle panel here, then you'll have your 90 lip that sits inside it. So the scuttle would come down here like that. And you've got to get around the window lip.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a sharp edge. They're normally a bit of a flatter, almost a 45. I use them for that, and also split screen campers, you know, the old bay window campers and things. they've got the side windows. They are perfectly flat. They're at a 90, and you've got the inside lips for those.
Yeah.
So round windows and things like that. But I'll also use it edges of curves and things like that just to pull it all together.
Yeah.
But the principle of it is the jaws in here will pull the metal together. So as soon as you pull down on it, you can see those jaws come together and squeeze it. I don't think you can see it on camera.
Go on.
Yeah, as they come down, they will squeeze the metal together. Now, this one is an absolute chore to use because it is this hand-operated one, and we clamped it in a vise and all
just need arms like mine, Rhys,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, my arms are not for this kind of machinery. But what you'll do is you'll pull down on it, and it pulls the metal together, which in turn is, it's not necessarily shrinking, but it's gripping and pulling the metal inwards.
See the curve start.
Yeah, you'll see the curve starting. Now, to do a tight curve, you've got to rework it and go back over it and everything. But it's not removing any metal. It is pulling it together and creating this tiny little pinch point.
I guess it potentially makes the edge stronger as well because
there'll be more material.
Up,
yeah,
isn't it? So,
and you'll feel it as soon as you've done it. There is no flex in it whatsoever because you've really tightened it up.
Yeah.
But for a cheap eBay jobby, this thing's not too bad.
Yeah, it does.
I feel like we're doing one of them review channels at the moment, where they're reviewing the cheap.
If you are watching this and you produce this, feel free to pay us some money to advertise your bit of eBay kit.
Yeah, so you can see he's got quite a nice curve coming out now.
Yeah, spot on.
And you'll keep going over your ridges. You will get this textured top to it.
Yeah.
And if you are wanting to be a bit fussy, you want to be a bit pedantic, you can crush it together with a hammer and a dolly. As long as you, what will happen though is you'll end up flattening the metal out and stretching it, but you'll lose a bit of your curve.
Yeah, it's going to work opposite again.
Yeah, and don't use this hammer, use a panel beating hammer.
Yeah.
But you can flatten all that out.
Yeah.
But you see, that'll be a nice for around your window edge.
Yes, yeah, be spot on.
Yeah. Now, we showed on this because the bit we're actually doing, I do not want much of a stretch.
It's not going to be as obvious for the camera.
Yeah, and sometimes you do a small movement and it does so much more at the end of the panel, your eyes won't even really pick it out. But that one was the shrinker. Shrinker always works a lot easier. Stretching the metal is a bit more labour intensive.
Yeah.
But we just want a little stretch on it.
Fairly simple to chop around. So.
They're not too bad. The ones I got at home,
they're better.
They're better, but this is worse because you've got to get Allen key in there.
Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah. So you got it so you untighten them and you got to take the bolts out and then replace it. It's an absolute pain in the ass to change them. So these are quite nice.
But you've got two of you. You've got one for shrinking and one for stretching.
Because it annoyed me so much, I went and got a second one, so I haven't got to keep undoing and moving back and forth. And what you'll do is, it gets quite annoying. You'll do all of the stretching and everything.
Yeah.
You'll go to the car and you'll think, right, I need a little bit more there. You'll do a little bit more and you go, oh, I've gone too much.
Yeah.
Then you've got to undo all of this and then Alright, so anyway, this is the stretcher one. This one's a little bit more of a chore to get it to do what you want it to do. But you'll see it does the opposite. This one grabs the metal and pulls it apart. So this one is affecting the metal, in my opinion, a little bit more detrimental than the other one. Now, if you did this in alley, you go to a certain point and suddenly the alley will just split. And you actually just tear it apart. But when you're working in mild, it does have a little bit more give and a little bit more stretch to it before you get to that point. If you're working with 1 mil, especially 1 mil alley, you'll get a split if you try and do a tight 90 on it.
And what's the kind of maximum metal you would use on something like this, thickness wise?
1 mil.
1 mil, yeah. So really it is bodywork
and
nothing else.
Yeah, it's bodywork stuff.
Yeah.
And you can see this one doesn't give you those ridges like the shrinker did.
Well, it's getting rid of the material, isn't it? Rather than
so that one's gathering it up, so you get that texture because it's gathered it and pulled it together. You get these lumps. That one's flattened it and pulled it apart, so you don't get that texture.
Yeah.
But you can see how well it works.
Yeah.
You can make some cool shapes out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like them.
Well, don't get rid of that. We might use that later.
Yeah, I don't know what that's going to be called. As you know, that particular curve going on that is like the top of the E-type scuttle. There you go.
Oh, there you go. We won't charge you much.
Okay, you can't make use of them. Right, so I'll get the panel.
Brilliant.
We need to do a liquid stretch.
Yep.
A good tip if you are trying to gain a shape, especially with something like this, if you're going to go around a window, put a load of marks on them. So what I tend to do is about every inch I'll draw a little line in a Sharpie. That way I'll know. Some people go really over the top and they number them all. So you'll know that when you put it on there, you think, I need to do a bit more of a stretch on number 7.
Yeah.
But when you've got a massive piece, you'll be like, right, I need to do a bit more of a stretch on number 37 or something. It gets a bit much. So all I do is I look at it and go, right, I need that one, hold my finger there and take it to them.
Yeah.
So I know what it is. I don't bother doing the numbers. But I've put a couple of marks on this one, on the panel we're making, just to show whereabouts I would like it to be stretched. Now,
So what we do, we are stretching this panel now.
just a little bit to create a curve, but because it's not a 90, it's not going to curve as you would expect.
Yeah.
And I don't want much, so that was just enough for what I'm needing. But if you're keeping a close eye on it, you'll just see the whole
You can actually, the whole panel is starting to
to move a little, which is what we're after. I just want one more, just a little bit. There, and that's all I'm after. So we just got a little bit here. We have flattened this edge, so I'm gonna have to put that back on a dolly to get that curve back.
Yeah.
You see, we've just got this little bow coming in.
Yeah. Back to the Lotus Carlton. And again, you're using the curve of that piece of metal as well, aren't you? Because the flat piece, you're more likely to actually start to change the shape of the.
Yeah, I'm using it so I can try and form that curve in there. So you see, we just leveled it off a bit. It's still got a small one.
There we go.
Right, we'll see. We have got that other bit which is pushing out at it.
This is the nice thing. This is proof of the pudding. This is we have kept filming from the shaping all the way through to this bit now. So it's not like Blue Peter where this is one we prepared earlier.
I wish it was. That would have been quite nice. Alright, so then you can see now how we've got a lot closer here and this edge is starting to fit.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit now, to be honest.
That was our hope, wasn't it? That by curving that, it was naturally going to sort of bring this end of the panel a little bit further to the...
And we're still a bit out, but we need to cut around here, which will bring us, this panel will come further out.
Yeah.
Because this is actually preventing it from going any further now. You can see that's our stoppage.
Yeah.
So I'll pin it in place with some clamps,
Yeah.
mark out where I need to cut to go around that hole, and then we should get that extra little bit of movement. If I cut too much, we're screwed.
Well, I think that's the main thing, isn't it? It's like the same with what was always told me with woodwork was measure twice, cut once. It's the same with metal, and it's I mean, you can weld stuff back in, but you don't really want to be having to do it. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so back here we are with Mr. Rhys. Little follow-up. Now we have done this little bit of filming several times, haven't we?
More than I would care.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not Rhys's fault. It's our fault because we keep losing the footage. We've got too many memory cards. So this is the last time, I promise you. Right, so.
Right, so I have no idea what footage you've got of what we've got of me doing.
Yeah.
So we'll just basically scan over what's actually been done. So inside here, we had a massive hole leading into the inside of the car through the bulkhead. And then underneath this panel, we had holes like that situated here and there. So what we did is this was kind of the panel that sat there. You see it's got this ridge where that sits in its lip, and then we had this one which sat over the top. So I've made all of those and fitted all those back, creating the double skin at the top here to make sure we've got the same overlaps that we had before and it all meets the old stuff. This was removed. I actually drilled out all the spots, pulled that off. Hopefully we still got the footage of some of that. And then I repaired all the inside, which included this piece here, because that sat just inside there. And you can see as we got the ridge lines here and those ridge lines there.
Yeah.
So I made a new one of those.
Because behind this panel, obviously, the water is meant to run out of there from the inside of the window there. So it is meant to be an area where water goes, but of course, especially with the goo that was in there before.
We will seam seal all of these to make sure that nothing can get back behind there, because that's what's happened.
Yeah.
It's been sandwiched with the water inside and just left to sit, so we end up with that on the inside. So yeah, we replaced that to make sure that was tidy.
And now it's looking lovely, and you coated that first with an etch primer.
Yeah, I did the inside with a high zinc primer and then an etch over the top, and then coated the inside of this as well. Tried to leave a lot of the factory coating on it because the factory coating was actually really good, and it's that dipped coating which you can't really replicate.
Yeah, and it's still there after 30 odd years.
Yeah, and it is decent. So the only places I recoated was where I had taken it down to bare metal to do my spots and things. So again, that was all zinc coated and everything. Yeah. But everything's going to be flooded through all the gaps and all the seams with oil and all sorts at the end, with nozzles and extensions to make sure everything gets absolutely coated. Because no matter what you do, there's a big, you must use weld through, and you've got to epoxy primer, and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. It doesn't matter what you do. You hit it with a weld, you are burning one sheet of metal and melting it to the other sheet of metal. I don't care what coating you've put on there, it's burnt off. Yeah. So no matter what you do, if you're welding it on, you've got to try and get coatings in there after the weld as well. Yeah. And that's why this really liquidy, really high grease, oily based products that will seep in between all the seams and the milks and all the, that's what you want to be squirting in there. You need to find any access hole you can, get the nozzles up in there, start squirting at the main point, and drag them while you
let
do.
It seep.
Let everything seep through. Yeah. It's the only way of doing it, because weld through primer's fine. It's got it will allow you to actually weld against it. That's it. Yeah. It will have conductivity to allow that to weld. Yeah. But it doesn't mean it stays there. It's not a weld through. It's just you just weld on it, burn it all off, and then you've got nothing there anyway. Anyway, once we finished that, I've actually made a start on the sill now.
I have just realised one thing as well: the duration of time.
I've had a damn haircut. Yeah,
he has had a haircut. Yes, he's a bit lighter now.
I knew you were going to mention it. The inconsistency of the footage is going to be so obvious now.
See, this is what we're finding, because obviously we're relatively new to this game, is that sometimes you get busy and then you forget where you were. So we're doing our best with this channel to try and keep some consistency. So hopefully they will improve as time goes on.
Also we now moved on to the sill, and from the other video we did a while back now, we had showed the sill and how it had a new sill fitted but kind of over the top of a lot of it. And we put a torch down on the back end, and I wasn't overly happy with the inner sill, with that centre one. So what we did, once I cut off the old one, you can see that was where it was. Now, this was the original, and you can see that's the original all the way down, and this was left on the inside. All of that was left still rotting on the inside, and then this outer one was put on and just kind of tacked. Like, I haven't cut that, that's just where it's fallen off. It was tacked and then tacked again, and then filled, put over the top. So I wasn't keen, so we cut that, but rather than just cut it here, we cut it all the way back to where the spot welds were on the original seam and got rid of the entire sill. You'll see again on the back section, see that's the original that's been left there. And this is the original either side, and then there was this one that was put on top which came down and came over the top of it. And the original was rotten here and kind of spread from underneath back to where it wasn't anyway when they put the new one on. So it was best to get rid of it all, so we cut all that out. And the inner, we caught a glimpse of it with the torch down one side. And we just basically caught this sort of back edge here. And you knew it wasn't right, you could see what was going on. But this is that panel there. Obviously it's a bit more of a patch job than a replacement.
Which happens with 90% of the cars. It's great structure.
It's just what happened, especially with classic cars, because at some point, the classic car market, you own a car which doesn't warrant spending thousands on a restoration. Every car you kind of come across at one point was worth scrap.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're going to be getting a lot more DIY jobs and things like that, and people doing it on a budget, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
But then when the car becomes worth a fair bit more, you kind of want to make sure everything's a little bit more correctly done. And that's all the case is. This isn't that, I don't know, I wouldn't like to have left anything like this inside regardless, but
well, I'd say if it's your old khaki car that's a 300-pounder just to get you through the next MOT, then it's the kind of thing that gets done.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is not a 300 quid khaki car, it's something that's worth at least 500 now.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. So yeah, again, I cut this higher than what was needed. You can see the rot on the inside, and the old one that was still left dangling in there as well. But I cut it higher than what was needed, and I remade, just like I did on the other side, I remade that inner strengthener. And for anyone wondering, yes, it does stop here. I don't know why either, don't ask, it does stop here. Normally they run, normally they run full length, but for some reason it only needed extra strength between those two pillars. I don't know why.
Well, they did do the Lotus Carlton conversions fairly slapdash occasionally, I've heard.
Oh, this is a Vauxhall thing.
Yeah, well, that's the reality, isn't it? Yeah.
This wasn't anything to do with Lotus.
No, it was all just Vauxhall Carlton.
So yeah, so I made that. What I did.
How did you do that, Rhys?
Oh, here we go. Yeah. And so this is what I prepared doing it. No.
Yeah.
I got, with the limited tools here, we only got a vise for bending and things. I'll use it. I'll use bits of angle iron and a vise and hammer along it. But I wanted sharp lines along there, so I knew I wasn't going to get the full length of the bend. So I made a little template just of the bends, which I'd made. I just kind of sit in there where I kind of expected the shape to sit.
Yeah.
After I'd done that, I marked out where my bead lines were going to be so I could match them up, and then drew everything down on a template. So all my measurements, all my specifications for where it was going to be.
It kind of looks like music, if I'm to be honest. I wonder what kind of tune that would play if put to give it to a guitarist. I don't know. Hey, you're a guitarist. You should know.
I'm going Iron Maiden on that one.
Iron Maiden. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah. Well, a bit of metal. Have a bit of metal for metal.
Exactly. So yeah, then once I got that home, I took my measurements, made the full length, bent it to where I needed to bend it, and then these were the bead rolled shapes that went in. They were not specific to try and hit the lines or to make it right. These were just to check my depths. So when I wound down the bead roller, I wanted to make sure I had enough pressure on it to get the shape I wanted. So that was just a test on that, to make sure that when I did put it on the sheet, I was going to get the correct shape.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're up to now. We've got the inner put in. It's all been, again, zinc painted, etch primed, and then this chassis paint going in inside everywhere we possibly can. And then again, after the sill's gone on and it's all welded in place, we've got a load of access holes for the sill. We've got this one here where we get all the door wiring. Yeah. We've got ones up in the top of the A pillar where we've got the door wiring, and a really nice one which is done for this reason down on the back side of the sill. So there's a nice little hole there.
The hole on the back side.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. Sorry.
So you've got that hole there, and that's going to be an excellent one to shove everything through. Yeah. And then I'll drag it back through as you're squirting everything with the oil and the grease.
That's just what we could do, because you finished drilling the sill now.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, watch it not fit now. ready for the camera.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've trimmed it quite a bit, trying to get the shapes I need to sit inside the edges. This sill wasn't too bad. It was an eBay jobby, but not too bad.
Yeah, it was the same company that we got the other one.
Yeah. But they didn't know the curve. So what they've done is they left like a cut down here, and this bit was like flapping back and forth. Yeah. So I've seamed that up while it was rested against the car to make sure I've got it where I want it. Still needs a little bit of planishing, but it's not too bad. You see there where I had to seam it up. Yeah. But yeah, drilled all the spot weld holes. The first lip, I haven't drilled any spot welds because we'll actually use a spot welder to pinch those two together. And the reason I can't do it on the back edge and the bottom edge is because that's now a triple layer, because you've got the inside layer, which is 1 mil, then you've got this layer, which is the inner strengthener, and then you'll have the final layer. So if you use a spot welder, they'll have settings on them, and it'll be 1 mil to 1 mil or 2 mil to 2 mil. And if you put a 1 mil on there, because you're doing 1 mil, that 1 mil center one, nothing will penetrate properly, it won't work. And if you do 2 mil, it's basically going to fry the ones on either end. So we'll have to do plug welds along that top section, and same with the bottom, because the original steel on the car,
several thicknesses,
that's not 1 mil, that's a little bit thicker, it's virgin on 2, so you'll end up melting a bit of that. So we'll do plug welds on it. I'm a little bit cautious of plug welds, I don't like them that much. I've seen them burst, and it's because the outside, you'll fill it all up real nice, and yet there hasn't had the penetration on that inner skin, and it'll pop over time if it hasn't been done correctly. And 9 times out of 10, when you see it, it's been done like that, it's had too small of a hole drilled in it.
Yeah.
And so I'm not keen. So I will go over the top, and I will do a larger than necessary hole. That way, you'll be able to get right on the center to get into that skin that's on the inside. Make sure you've pulled that, and then drag the pull to the outside. You've got your best chances of that plug weld being a decent solid weld. So yeah, I've been putting it off for long enough. Let's see if it fits.
Da, 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 da. This is where we need a clamp assistant.
Now, it's a little bit misshapen on certain areas because of the folds in the production of it. So if you have a look down here, you can see that's sitting proud and that's not. Yet we've got the curve sitting okay. So what you'll end up doing when you weld it together, you'll make sure you'll pull it to where it needs to be. Just hit this edge first, and then start tapping down the top to bring it down, and then you'll be in the right place. So there's a little bit of weld and move as you go, but most of it isn't fitting too badly. Like I said, I'm quite happy actually with the sills themselves. Considering they're just a random eBay jobby, they're actually not too bad. The one criticism I got, actually, I'll show you now.
You got a criticism?
I have got a criticism.
I worked hard to get these sills, you know.
Yeah, I got one criticism on the eBay sales, and if you have a look here, they're really tall at the end here, and you've got this nice bit of meat here for you to be able to get to, and then it gets gradually thinner and thinner and thinner until it gets too small to even be where it needs to be. So it's shallow.
You know what that is? It's as you get better at welding, you see. You get happy as you work along, and you get heavier and heavier.
Yeah, so anyway, that's the only downside, is we are going to have this lip here.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit annoying, but that's just being a bit fussy, to be honest. It's not too
And
bad.
it'll be secure, and of course by the time all the trim and everything is on it, you will never see it. So that's the one bonus of that. That's through no fault of your own, that's just the design.
Yeah, that was just kind of how it was pressed in the factory and then trimmed up.
And for an aftermarket part, ironically.
Yeah, and some of these repair panels, especially ones you find on eBay, some of them are pretty rough.
Yeah.
This one, I'm actually, just like the one that was on the other side, I'm really happy with them, to be honest.
Yeah. Yes, it's pretty good, mate. I've got a butt weld in there.
Yeah, and again, we leave a gap. Some places the gap's not big enough, but oh yeah, this thing is just on its last leg. We get a good one. But yeah, sometimes when you're doing your butt weld, I've got a little bit close in some areas, but I like a gap. You want to fill the gap. You don't want to sit anything on top of a surface.
Yeah.
So when you are butt welding, you really do want a gap.
Yeah.
And some places are a little bit close, so I'll end up just putting a grinder line before the final fit. I'll just take the top off that curve, just to give myself a little bit more
Well,
space.
that's not bad, is it, to be fair?
Yeah, it'll go on.
That looks pretty good. And the nice thing is, because we've... Oh, is that royal we again? He appeared. Because when you put the other one on, we knew all the fiberglass body kit worked really well with that other sill. And as this sill is from the same firm, it should be the exact opposite. So all being well, everything will line up nicely.
Yeah, hopefully.
That is called positive thinking. We find we need a lot of that in this game. Positive thinking.
Yeah, that's all we're about.
Man.
Everything will work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting there. Do you know what? I put the sill on, and the shell, I believe, is done.
Yay!
And then we're just looking at a couple of panels.
Yeah, and you've already repaired the door over there. There was a little repair.
Yeah, they were doing minor stuff.
A bit of a panel on the other door and a little bit here, but yeah, it will be very nice to see this carcass of it finished. Good job, well done. Well, hopefully, for this particular, we'll end this video here, and then we'll do another one probably when the final finishing of the doors are put back on and all that kind of stuff. But for now, hope you enjoyed the second little edition of our Lotus Carlton update with Mr. Rhys. So be good, take care there. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Oh, there's the YouTuber stuff coming in, isn't it?
Okay, good. See, like and subscribe. And if I'm right, down here is the. It's over there, I think, for the subscribe to the channel, and then over here somewhere will be the next video. Ta-ra.